Bill and Nell, it was so lovely to be able to go back to revisit this brilliant franchise. I've always been a massive fan of the original Omen. I would love to know, first of all, from you guys, like, what are your kind of memories of the original movie? Bill, like, do you remember when you first came to The Omen?
No, I don't remember anything about them. I remember, all I remember is that they were the big horror event every time. Every time an Omen came out, they were huge. I didn't go, and I have no excuse for not going. But I don't feel bad about it either. Mainly because I'm now in the prequel, so I'm off the hook. Absolutely. But I just know that they are in horror circles. They are, as you suggest, they are legendary, and so no pressure doing the prequel. But I think it sounds like early signs suggest that we've done okay, in as much as that people are properly. One of your colleagues came in and said she was actually traumatized.
We're rejoicing over that.
Great news.
The more people we can traumatise, the absolute better.
Yeah.
Yes, there were audible kind of gasps and squeals and squirms in my screening that I was at, and particular scenes which I won't spoil at this point. But you can imagine
coming
probably
from you?
Which scenes.
Any screams?
Yeah, I came close a couple of
Fantastic.
times. I came close. Now, what about you? Like, what's your kind of relationship with the original movie?
Well, I'm a bit of a geek. I really love horror films, like, quite manically. And when I was little, I used to sneak off to my next door neighbour's house and watch them at her place because she had all of them on DVD. And then I would also watch them in 24 separate parts on YouTube. You only get a 3-minute clip of the movie, so I'd have to piece these all together to watch these. And that's how I came to movies like The Omen and the original It and things like that. So my experience of The Omen was, I think, quite like everyone else's, just fantastically disturbed. And I just enjoyed how awful it made me feel in the best way possible. I was really terrified, and images of it were burned into my brain as a grown-up. And now I get to go and do that to all of you, which is lovely. So very, very happy to be a part of it.
Bill, are you a horror fan generally? It sounds like you might not be.
No, I've never really wandered in that area. I don't know why. I don't know why. I mean, I watch films that scare you, but not what would be not what would be designated as strict horror.
Yeah, because you've been in a few too, of course, right? Like Limehouse Golem and Shaun of the Dead. I guess is a kind of horror adjacent movie in that regard.
Yeah, Shaun of the Dead is a get your girlfriend back movie, which happens to take place during a zombie apocalypse.
Yes.
And what was the other one you made? Oh, Limehouse. Yeah, Limehouse was pretty. Had horror elements, so I suppose, yeah. So I've been around.
Now, tell me, what did you kind of make of the script when you first approached it, and the way in which they kind of updated and modernised this story?
To be honest with you, I feel like it would have been a crime to modernise it too much. I think that when I read the script when I was first coming on to do the project, I kind of sighed a big sigh of relief, because I was like, they haven't tampered with it in a way that feels like it's pandering, or is sort of pandering to any sort of modernity whatsoever. It just felt like that this story was sort of hidden. If you watch the original Omen, this story is kind of hidden in it. It's all there in the first movie. That's it's screaming to be made into a prequel. So I was really pleased that they actually just kept it very true to the lore and to the legacy that is the Omen. So, and I'm a bit. I tend to trawl YouTube comments sometimes when I'm bored.
Oh no, that's never a good idea, is it?
I know, yeah. I know. And I was getting a real kick of that. Everyone getting really up in arms about certain things being changed, that they were all wrong. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed all the negative comments.
Do you think that there is, what I found really interesting, Bill, is that some of the themes are sort of slightly modernised in this film, because I think, when you look back to movies of the 70s, like The Omen or The Exorcist, there is always this very kind of God is good, the devil is bad, the priests and the Catholics come in to save the day. And it does feel as though, again, without going into too many specifics, that is something that has been quite nicely updated, I suppose, this time around.
Yeah, I suppose I took it for granted until you asked me this question. But yeah, no, that's good, and it's refreshing, as you say.
This is the first movie in the franchise that was directed by a woman as well. And, in what way did that kind of add, I suppose, to this particular story and its themes for you, Nell?
Well, thematically, some of the content is quite sensitive for women, and, it's quite topical as well, which are big conversations that are happening around the world about specific things and whether a woman should choose what does and does not happen to her body. So I think that, there's elements of that, and it lends itself to have a woman at the helm. It doesn't have to be, because women's issues are also men's issues. It's we can all tackle them together. But at the end of the day, we're making a horror film, and it's here for entertainment, and it's here to enjoy, for people to enjoy. And, these scenes and these moments we have in this film are not gratuitous. They're there because they're necessary to tell the story. And our caster just happened to be a fabulous way of telling that story. She just knew exactly how to do it. And yeah, it was just a wonderful collaboration on those days, those tougher days.
How were those kind of tougher days? How were, filming some of those scenes that, as I mentioned, have already made a lot of audience members kind of squeal in their seats? Like, how was it for you kind of filming? Because there's a lot that your character goes through, right, in this.
Well, I mean, they were made infinitely better when Bill was there, and when, that's it, really. No, I mean, we had some really tricky scenes with some really heavy things that we had to do together, and I say this absolutely truthfully, is that like having somebody there that you trust and that makes you feel comfortable and that you feel like you can look at them if it's too much and if it gets too much, and they'll sort of hold you and they'll keep you there. I mean, there were so many people involved in this movie that all cared about each other very deeply, and looking over and seeing Karsha's face and having her guide me through, or looking over and seeing Bill when we were having these moments, it was just like I felt very held and I felt very safe, and there wasn't really a moment where I felt like I can't continue with this, because the people around me just made it feel so much easier.
Did you feel that pressure? Like, Bill, do you feel that pressure, that this is such a property that is so beloved? And we've had a lot of this of late, kind of, reboots and returning to old franchises. There was a new Exorcist movie last year. There's a new Rosemary's Baby movie apparently in the works. And do you kind of feel the pressure of going back to these kind of beloved texts and being a part of that, I suppose?
I'm aware of the potential for pressure, but I kind of decline because what can I do? And because also, you've made a decision before you turn up that the people involved are serious. And Akasha was obviously, very serious and very talented. And you could just sense it, that she knew precisely what she wanted and what she was doing. And that she was a believer, the whole thing was being treated with enormous respect. And again, to embarrass Nell, I'm sitting next to her, but it's for real. She was fabulous to work with, and it was a great privilege to do business with her. And she was not only great company, but just so brilliant on set, and is a wonderful actress. So the whole thing felt serious and authentic. But as for the kind of most films, there's pressure there if you want it, but I do these days, I just try, I've retired from pressure. I mean, I'll let somebody else worry about it.
Will you please teach me how to do that?
Well, yeah.
Please.
It doesn't take long, honestly. It's like...
Did you feel that pressure, Nell?
Oh, God, yeah. Absolutely. I've decided now, from this moment on, I'm also retiring from pressure.
Yeah.
And we'll fight the fight together.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen the finished film at this point, and what were your kind of reactions? How do you find kind of watching yourself, Nell, in that kind of situation?
Oh, God, ghastly. But yeah, no, I have actually. Have you seen it?
I haven't.
Oh, my God, I'll tell you, I did see it. I did.
Are you able to kind of separate yourself from, thinking about making of it and just sort of watch it as a movie in that way?
Not usually. Genuinely, not usually. But for some reason on this one, around 30 minutes in, when I got over horrifying fact that I was looking at myself in a nun's habit, when I got past that and stopped looking at me and started looking at the film, I actually did get kind of lost in it, because it's bloody good. So I just let it go for a minute, and I actually really enjoyed watching something that I'm in, and that's not to discredit anything I've been in the past. It's just more because this is such an immersive thing, this film. It feels like an experience, and I just sort of let it go and let myself experience it. And I'd had a beer or two, so that probably helped.
That probably helped, yeah.
And I was with my dad, and I just let it wash over me, and I actually ended up enjoying it and getting quite scared.
That's great. It does feel as though recently, we have been in somewhat of a kind of golden age of horror in a way, it feels like. Classically, horror has not been as kind of, acknowledged by critics and award ceremonies and that kind of thing. But it feels like that might be changing. Yeah. Do you think there's a reason for that? Like, Bill, do you think that, horror is getting better, or are audiences accepting it more than they used to? Like, what do you think is the reason?
I think I'm almost certainly not the person to ask, but given that you've asked me, I think it's the former. I think it's because they're getting better, and
Because you're in them now.
and not least because I'm involved. But they're more sophisticated, I think, and therefore, you can't resist them. They can't be marginalised anymore. It's like science fiction, which was always marginalised between lurid covers, but in fact, it's now taken very seriously, and is a genuine genre, and also because they're very, very popular.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, Nell, what are your thoughts on that as well?
Yeah, I think that horror is now being treated with the care that it was. I think in the 70s, I think there was this like boom of horror all of a sudden being a very respected genre, and it's kind of had that resurgence again. Like people are treating horror, like we have like it's like an art house horrors and movies that are so delicate and beautiful, and yeah, I think that there's definitely been a renaissance, and it's wonderful. It's great news for me. I love horror films, and they seem to like me, so.